I'm going to talk a little bit about my own background to sort of tell you the journey from a chemical engineer to a filmmaker. Um, and sometimes I tend to ramble because it's a long journey. One that luckily ended a little while ago when I think I forgot my last equation. There was one correction that I wanted to make, which was that the script was written in the US in Atlanta. Actually, the script was written in Hyderabad when I came down for a visit, and it was this was the script for Hyderabad Blues, and it was written at a very interesting period in my life. But okay, now to tell the story more in a chronological order. So we start out basic middle class Telugu guy. Now the lines have gotten erased to a point where there isn't this maniacal craze to keep running to the US. But if you rewind to '88, especially in Hyderabad, which by the way AP sends more people to the States primarily than any other state in India. It's followed by Bombay. So in every household it was a given that someone went to the States, and in a batch of 47 who graduated with a chemical engineering degree, 23 or 24 of us went to the States. I mean, it was that kind of a ratio. So off I went there, got my master's, then after that started a job working as an environmental consultant, and it was the dream. It was the American dream, nice car, an apartment, for the first time real money to spend and have fun, and it was fantastic. About 3 years into the job, now when one says something like this, it comes out as a good humorous quote, but back then I would constantly say that my worst nightmare, and I really mean this to be true, was the fact that one day I'd grow up and find out that I was 40 years old, living in the suburbs with a house, a wife, and 2 kids, and the proverbial American dog, and I was terrified. And now it comes across as a cute quote, but back then, seriously, when I saw this image, which is for most people the definition of success as it pertains to a career where you progress from getting a good solid education and then you work your way up the management ladder. For me, I saw it as the end of the dream, the point where everything would come to a close, and it would clearly signify that I hadn't followed this kida. As far back as I can remember, 84 through 88 is when I did my engineering. As far as, actually I can't remember, as far back as my friends can remember, every time we got drunk, I would say, yaar, filmon ke saath kuch karna hai. This was right after I started doing my chemical engineering, and people at a point really got bored because everyone talks about their dreams and their ambitions, but no one really follows through, and I was no different. So about 3 years into the job, I said, there came this point when the checklist was done, and then the question became, what next? And the fact that I had to work through the same thing day after day, only the position and the title would change, but the fact that I'd be doing the same thing for the rest of my life was scary. So I had a very dramatic moment. I said, okay, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to follow my dream. I'm going to make movies. And once I had that superb epiphanic moment, I forgot about it and went back to my day job. And that's typically what happens in life. In a movie, however, if you don't have that moment of epiphany and launch yourself into Act 3 or be the pivotal turning point of Act 2, the audiences are going to reach for their cell phones. So there you need much more the moment of self-realization, and then it needs to change. But reality is a little different. I went back on with my job, and finally there came a point, and this was an epiphanic moment where I almost got killed in an accident, and I I had that dramatic thing of, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be, I'm never going to take a chance. So in the second dramatic moment, I took all my savings and landed on the shores of India. Talk about naivety, and this is what I tell a lot of people who set out to make movies. You have to be stupid. You have to believe in the simplicity of things happening. The problem is when you have too much knowledge. Now when I look back on my days of Hyderabad Blues, if I had this kind of knowledge, if I had a family that was in films, A, I wouldn't have made Hyderabad Blues, and B, I would never have followed suit with the kind of films that I make now. And it was because I had just a sliver of knowledge, but this feeling that this information is plenty, I'm going to just freaking turn the world around. That kind of stupidity brought me to India, and this is 1995, December 1995, and I said, oh, it's a very simple thing. I had taken a 1-week workshop, and I was sure that everything to do with filmmaking I knew. So I figured with my, bastardized Indian American accent and the fact that I could, with this 1-week knowledge, I could approach directors and they would take me on as an AD. And with that, it was just a natural progression into directing my own films. So, of course, I got here, and there's this one episode that I relate in great detail because seriously, it sort of made me who I am.